So welcome everybody to how to convert contacts to new sales pipeline. And, we're going to use HubSpot as an example, but keep in mind that those of you that arrived early, we talked about all the different CRMs going all the way back to DOS for myself of when we use this for customer tracking, prospecting, sales conversion, marketing automation. So we're going to talk about that. And a lot of you have taken our 20-minute a day program through Social Jack, which is for social selling and all that other cool stuff, and conversion from social media. So we're going to talk about our 2020 sales conversion blueprint at the end, so you can apply it to whatever CRM you're in. So Social Jack is CRM agnostic. However, for today, we're going to talk specifically about HubSpot. So have your questions ready. Nope, Eileen, we're not on camera today, but just the slides. So there we go. So with that being said, those of you that don't know me, there's my slide. So I've been around. I've had Social Jack now for over 15 years, Forward Progress for over 15. Social Jack was developed about 7 years ago to be a place where you could belong, log into. We've trained and coached over 120,000 people on building your influence, your personal brand, storytelling, social selling, some CRM, some platform things like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those cool things. So it is a place where you can go and actually have access to as many things as you want. I think we have over 1,000 items in there. Those of you that don't know us know we love to talk about building thought leadership, digital thought leadership, influencer development, social selling, personal branding, and all those cool things. We host a webcast podcast called The Influence Factory. We're going to go back live on the air within a couple of weeks, so hopefully you tune in live. But if not, you can go to socialjack.com, click on member as a member, or click on podcast. You can see them there, or on your favorite channel like Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, all those cool places. You can get it there as well. So with that being said, let me introduce my buddy Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
Greetings, I'm great.
Good. And you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I know you've been around 12 years digital marketing, and I remember you were actually in one of my classes when you were still in the mortgage industry. So you do have a great, I would say, sales background mixed in with marketing background, if that's fair.
Sure.
And then you specialize obviously in traffic generation, conversion, inbound marketing, which is what we're going to talk about today. And then really love the fact that you have leaped ahead of the rest of us and gone for more certifications from HubSpot so that you can share your knowledge with everybody that's on today. So thanks for being on, Joe.
My pleasure.
All right, so with Forward Progress, if you don't know, so you're not confused, Forward Progress is the digital marketing company, and we do 90% or better B2B. We can do rapid launch plans, which help you go to market or get a program to market or help you rebrand a little bit. We do love influencer marketing, which means connecting your network with other networkers of influencers, and those influencers could be customers, partners, whatever it takes. So we love doing that probably more than anything else. And so we take the content and the people, we put them together to build community so you can convert. Now, with that being said, today we're going to talk about CRM and having a place to hold all that data. So that's cool too. Social Jack is an academy where you can learn. So we've, like I said earlier, we've trained and coached over 100,000 people through either webcast conferences or your favorite corporate meeting or other type of venue. And we specialize mostly in the influencer development and the digital thought leadership and social selling areas. In a few weeks, we're going to talk about employee advocacy, and this is when you convert your people within the brand to actually become advocates of the brand externally in a digital way. So we're going to be working through all that. So some of the things that we talked to today will be what we call buy the book. You notice I didn't put B-U-Y in there. That's not a typo, Elaine. But we want you to know that we have a system, and the book was written for you to be able to follow a system to build your influence for you, your organization, your team. And again, this dovetails into advocacy, influence, thought leadership, all the things that we talk about. So don't forget to check that out. We are committed to everything that we're talking about, but most importantly, we want you to be found and to be known and to be first known as an influencer. We want you and your organization to be the go-to for everybody. So whatever that looks like, whenever you feel you're not getting that exposure, not becoming the go-to, just make sure you talk to us. Okay, I talked about connecting. So what I'd love to know is we have a ton of people on today. Could you type into the questions area so we know you can find it? I saw some of you. I would like to know real quick, where are you checking in from today? Is this, do we have a heavy Midwest crowd? We have a lot of Chicago people I see on here. We have Phoenix with us, Minneapolis, Boston, welcome. We have Beverly Hills, welcome. Jersey City, Adam, I love Jersey City. Okay, cool. And I love Beverly Hills. I was just there when it was before the end of the year. And then up north, says Julie, which is northern Chicago. All right, so we have a variety of folks on with us today, but we're connected through this webcast, so thank you again. All right, today's lineup, definition and adoption of CRM. So we're going to cover this in as much as we can within the next 45 minutes. We will stay on extra for questions because we want to make sure you have enough to apply to your plan and how you're going to be more effective. So we'll talk a tiny bit about what is HubSpot, some contact management as it applies to CRM, sales tracking, service hub, marketing automation, some integrations, and then how do you apply 20 by 20. Now, not all of you have taken the 20 by 20, but we're gonna, and what 20 by 20 is spending 20 minutes a day on social media, 20 days a month to get whatever thought leadership, sales, referrals that you want. And that's how the program works, 20 by 20. So isn't that cool? 20 by 20 for 2020. It's like we were waiting for this year to happen. So we'll cover that program. And then after we're done, because it gets a little overwhelming, how do we get started? What's the best place to get started? So we're going to help you get access to the free version, as Joe says, the forever free version of HubSpot. So it's crazy, but we'll help you get started with the free version, or if you just want to test drive, whatever, and it is free. So that's cool. All right. So Joe, when I say CRM, so when I was first doing this had to do with, I was building a lot of, before I got into building call centers, customer service centers, this was really a place to not do all this analysis paralysis, but it was really just a place for me to organize all my business cards and keep track of my customers, right?
Yep.
So from your perspective, what's your sort of definition of CRM?
Well, HubSpot cuts it into two silos, really. There's the organizing all your stuff part of it, and then there's the integrated marketing automation engine around that actually automates some steps that you want to do to build your business. So I think first and foremost, it is where you store all of your customer data, client data. It's where you have everything organized. And that's, I think, what most people are here for is it's a new year, and what better way to help build your business than to become more organized.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we say the sort of the golden ticket, if you will, is relationships for business. And those relationships can already be customers, they could be referral sources, they could be your social jack team, they could be marketing leads that come from your website. But the idea is if people form a relationship with us, we will have more success. And so over the years, and no different from the DOS version of CRM, is that relationships mattered. So that's why we had a customer relationship management system. That's what CRM stood for. But then email came along. Again, I'll date myself. Before email, there were faxes. Joe, do you remember faxes?
Of course, and pages.
Yeah, right, exactly. Pagers, right? So in the tech space, we all had pagers. Well, we had different ways of communicating. And then when email came along, it's like, hey, just like we started fax blasting back in the days, people remember that? There was like a law that came out that said you can't fax blast anymore. But emails were okay. And then, that became a thing. And then it was like, could we automate emails? And then, of course, on the sales side, we had to track calls and appointments and proposals. And, we all learned sales systems and we wanted to track that. So we'll start at the basics here and talk about just getting organized with contact management. So if we start at the top and we talk about contact management, um, there's different ways that we are organized as users. Some of you like to just put everybody in one bucket, and when it's time for you to dip into that bucket, you're cool with just having a single point of access for that bucket. So in that makes it, easy for a single place to go. And then as your business grows, or as your team grows, as the organization grows, you want to have more people have access to a single point of record, so that you know that if Julie, you and I are talking, or tomorrow you and I are talking with somebody, and all of a sudden we want to be on the same page and not go, oh, Dean already told me that. If I'm doing my job and logging things from a contact management perspective, now all of a sudden those things are documented. So, and plus, Joe's really been adamant about, for us, making sure that we store things like, client information, maybe location of things, data, things. We collect a ton of content and all kinds of critical things for clients. So we want to have those things in there. And then you can take it from there. So Joe, anything you would add in terms of contact management, just having good organization with our contacts?
Yes. So the notes are key. The bigger your team is, the more it's critical that anyone who picks up the file or answers a phone or has any touch point can just immediately look at the contact record and say, okay, who's on first? Where are we at with this person? So if you are just a one person company, it's still good because you can look and in one immediate, thread here, remember back to all of your touch points to that person. If you have 2 or 3 people on your team, it's better. And if you have 100 people on your team, it's imperative that everyone can see the updates on where a file is at. So when we talk about like minimum use, that's usually, this is why most CRM implementations fail, is there's so many features and it's so complicated. Even though the software company sells it to you with all these bells and whistles and trying to proclaim that it can do anything and everything, the most difficult part is getting everyone on your team to actually use it and to learn it. So what we try and say is have one basic thing that everyone agrees to do in the beginning, and that one thing should be putting notes in with every touch point you do with every customer prospect.
Yeah, and what's nice about this is, let's just say that you decide to have a HubSpot, and we like other CRMs like Nimble, and there's other ones out there that we love. The idea here, though, is to make sure that it can connect to email at the very least. That should be like a basic 101 thing. Does it hook up to where you're communicating an email? Because we all do so much emailing. So how do we make sure that all those things get collected? So emails should be automatic, although HubSpot has great templates for individualized emails and things like that. And you can email directly out of HubSpot or the HubSpot app. But if you're sending an Outlook, you should have it connected so it records that. And then to Joe's point, if you make a call, just click the button, log a call. You see the little log button right there? You can log a call or a task or whatever. And you don't have to set it up so it's all complicated and automated. Just make a call and make some notes. And now everybody knows that, you have notes on that customer. So super easy. And then real quick, I want to take a polling question. I just want to launch this. I just want to see, do you have a CRM system? So your screen should have turned blue. And just give a quick click on here. This is more so I can see who's in the room with us and where you're at. So if everybody could quickly click on that blue screen. So we have 11% of you in, 17%, 28%, 50%. There we go. You're almost there. Just click on one. Yes, you're looking to change, hardly ever use it, using Excel. There you go. Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Okay, so just so you see, wherever you're at, except none of you said, no, you're not tracking anything. I love it. So if I were to share this, you see that 38% of you, yes, but looking to change, 38% interesting, yes, but hardly ever use it. 23% no, not using it, but everybody is tracking at some level. So we're super proud of you because of that. So with that being said, the reason you don't use it, sometimes it's too complicated, it's too much, so now all of a sudden, and Adam says his option is not there. We have a CRM, but also supplement it with other tools. And that's one of the things is whenever you're using a piece of technology in today's world, it is imperative that you make sure that it can talk with the things that you rely on to service your customers, your prospects, and the things in today's, especially sales world. We're talking about converting to pipeline. So super, super, super important. So Joe, anything on contact management before we move to a little bit of sales tracking?
Just that the big question that comes up a lot is if I put all my contacts in one bucket, are they all mashed together? Well, technically they're all contacts, but they're different categories of contacts. So one of the first customizations that we do with clients is identifying, okay, what buckets do you have within contacts? Are they a prospect, an existing client, an employee within your company? So you can create, 3 or 4 main types of contacts and then have buttons on the side where you can quickly sort and look at just those groups. So there's a misconception that, well, it's just all called contacts, and there's an easy way for us to kind of filter those.
Yeah, exactly. And, to that point too, we all organize differently. So what's nice is you can, in the free version, everything we're talking, most things we're talking about in the free version, but everything we talked about in contact management's in the free version. So in this, you might have a certain field that's really important to you that besides, the standard customer information like name, address, phone number, and all those things, there might be certain characteristics or a characteristic that you want to track on a customer so that you can report and sort and maybe talk to another system. Could even be customer number, whatever it is, you can actually build those custom fields with lookups to control the data. So it's always worth talking about that.
Yep.
Also, Joe, one of the things that, like with Nimble, it's like an all-in-one bucket where I think with HubSpot, you can have user access levels depending on who you want to use, see, and change what, correct?
Yes, so you can create not only different levels of user access, but you can create different groups and then give only certain people within those groups access to certain areas or features. So you might have like a sales team gets access to a few features and a support team. So you can break things up a number of ways, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So this might happen when you hire interns or outsiders for help and things like that, or you have someone that's strictly focused on prospects and not customers. You can sort of put people into buckets. Now with sales, in the social jack process, if you will, the 20 by 20, it's important for you to have sales stages. So if you could, I'm just always curious in sales. Does everybody here know what the sales stages are? Does anybody not understand that? So just type that into the questions if not. So what's nice about this is whether you have, 3 stages or 5 stages or whatever you have, they have a very visual dashboard where you can quickly just drag and drop and move things around. So when you're doing your weekly sales calls or anything like that, it's important that your pipeline gets updated so you know what to do next. So if all of a sudden, maybe beyond your first meeting, one of your milestones for sales is to make sure you get a proposal out the door. Well, you could have one that says proposal sent, or you could say budget approved. And so what's nice is you can make the sales tracking whatever makes sense for you. So, and then you might have different segments of sales or types of sales. So you can have this in a table format, you can have it as a sales board, and then you can sort it and mix it and match it differently. Now, what I also like is I'm a numbers person. So you can see down there at the bottom, and it doesn't matter what currency you're in, what language you're in, it's pretty accommodating. But you can have it set up where you can have the numbers track. So in business, especially 2020, I imagine that everybody that's on the call with us today has some specific numbers in mind that you already want to hit. Even if you haven't finished your planning, which hopefully you're close because we're better halfway through January, is you know that you want to grow business by 20%. That means you need to have X amount in the pipeline. So a lot of times in sales conversion and pipeline, we'll coach and train you around the fact that you need to know that you need to have 10 appointments a week to get 3 proposals out the door in order for you to get enough deals in the pipeline so you can close and make your numbers for this month, this quarter. Um, and the management process is sometimes daunting. So some people will have it in spreadsheets and things like that. And once you start expanding as an organization and you don't report off of a common pipeline, then it's really hard for an organization to collectively support a sales or a deal. So without the proper visibility, without the proper next actions, and this is where when Joe was saying you can combine the tasks that are happening. So like this morning, I had a couple of sales calls, and what happened was on my notification board, it reminded me that I had 2 more people that back in October, I said, it's time to talk to them right about the 3rd week of January. And so it popped up and reminded me. So when I was in calling mode, it was super easy for me to see that. And I was able to get hold of one person and we bumped something to Q2. And then we were able to add something new into the pipeline for Q1. But if I didn't have that reminder and I wasn't as well organized with it, because I'm not very well organized, if there wasn't a CRM, I wouldn't know any of this data. So that's what I appreciate the idea for doing this. And you can see a customize button there, and there's import, and there's different ways to actually set it up. Joe, anything to say on the sales tracking piece?
Yeah, this is a really awesome visual way to see things. There's also, you can toggle between board and table view if you prefer just seeing a list. And the similar filter capabilities on the left-hand side that exist in the contacts and company screen also exist here. So you can create a one press button that filters all deals, over $10,000 or whatever the filter you want. So if you've got, a lot of different things you're chasing at one time, you can just press different filter buttons and then change the view of what's on the board.
Absolutely. Now, Joe, you wanted to make sure that we handled conversations. So tell us a little bit about conversations.
This is one of at least 3 or 4 really powerful features that HubSpot offers, even in its free version, that could potentially replace other tools you're probably paying money for every month, which is awesome, because you can potentially just take all those savings and actually get HubSpot Pro. So this one is kind of like a chatbot, Zendesk, like a all-encompassing, support type thing, but this part of it is more sales driven. So what you're seeing here is live chats that come from, in our case, front end of our website. So you've seen these chat bots in the corner of the websites where you can collect leads, answer some questions, use it in a live capacity where you have the app on your phone. So when a user comes to the website, if
Just
you
like
want
here
to,
just like here in the bottom of the corner, right?
yep, and that's the free version.
Right.
So that dashboard collects all of these different live conversations or form fills and aggregates them together so that either you or whoever on your team handles either sales questions or support type things can field those questions live.
Yep, awesome. So what's cool about that is now all of a sudden you have the ability to have tracked conversations no matter what the circumstance, right?
Absolutely. And I just got a notification that you submitted a message.
Right, exactly. So with that, You know, and a lot of you have different areas or ways that you set your website up, you know, and this is the thing. We were on a huge enterprise call this morning with a customer, and I know some people are, you know, bigger companies, some people are smaller companies that are listening in, but really the idea here is how can we make ourselves more efficient and work smarter and leverage today's technology. So, for instance, we have some customers that want to integrate SMS, which is texting, into the here, so you have the live chat, texting, email. You can track how things are coming in, and when you get so busy, you can then outsource certain pieces of conversations that are coming in, and then obviously the goal is to convert that to new business. So the more information you have about activity, the more information you have about behavior, the easier it is to convert any of this to pipeline. So, so with that being said, let's keep moving. So I put in another sales dashboard here. I like this one because it tells me based on my sales stages exactly where I'm at. And so based on deals, I can look at conversion rates. I can look at, you know, deals closed versus goal. I can look at numbers. And so this is one that I use on a regular basis. This is an easy snapshot report. And, you know, knowing that we have to hit certain numbers to get to a certain point, we can, you know, we could just make sure that, you know, we're looking at this all the time. So my default login has my sales and activity dashboard in there. Now, the other thing, I don't want to go too deep into this. How many people have to deal with service calls or some sort of technical support? So we use this for coaching, and we use this for customer
Help
support.
tickets.
Yep, help tickets. So ideally, you see here, there's a password issue. So anybody else here dealing with customer support calls, or you need those things integrated, because the last thing you want to do is call a customer when all of a sudden you can see their systems blowing up and you're like, hey, how about that new deal we were talking about? Timing is everything, right? Imperative. So I know, Roosevelt, you guys have a service side to your business. And I know some others on the call here do as well. So with that being said, who else is dealing with service issues that need to be talking with customer records? Anybody? Not so many? All right, doesn't look like as many people on the service side. Okay, well, we can skip through that and maybe jump to some marketing automation as well. All right. Okay, so with that being said, marketing automation, Joe, you want to touch on this a little bit?
Sure. So usually there's a few different steps that you have in your process while prospecting or trying to attract new prospects to your website, your brand, whatever that might be. What HubSpot does really well is it can not only help you organize what those steps are and make them more efficient so you can get more outreaches done in a shorter period of time, but in the pro version, you can automate all those steps. So your steps might be, here's your best little script that you send out, you know, in a one-on-one email to a prospect who looks good to you. So you can save those as kind of like canned sales emails and send those out from within the system and use whatever Microsoft 365, G Suite, whatever email account you have is baked into HubSpot. So it looks like it's coming from, you know, your regular email, but you can queue them up and send them out much more efficiently from the CRM and call up, you know, or just press a button and you get 5 for free. So you can have 5 of your best email templates ready to go. And usually it's best to kind of have like the intro one, the follow-up one, the, you know, breakup one, whatever you might name them, so they're ready to go. HubSpot also has a feature called snippets where you can take shorter little blurbs and save those as well. And that's also a feature in the free version. So you might have, you know, a canned email where you personalize the first name and you mention their company, but you have a little snippet that's different for each industry of the prospects that you're chasing. So you can call up these different snippets and also streamline things that way. So the free version helps you be more efficient in your outreach, and the pro version can go full automation. So you might have a sequence of events that says, when I send email 1 wait 3 days and send email 2. If they respond or if they click in any email, send them this deliverable. So you can have PDFs or white papers go to them automatically. You can have those staged and ready to go. You can create complete sequences, 10-step sequences that is the full sales cycle of getting someone from, barely interested in kind of just kicking the tires all the way through them asking you to do business because your system has been nurturing them all along without you really having to lay a finger on anything.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm not confusing this with Salesforce when I ask this question, am I? You can do split testing even on marketing sequences, right?
Yes, in the Pro version.
Yeah, so what happens, what I mean by that is, let's say that I see, John, John Yee, who's on with us. Hey, John, how you doing? He's got he's got a great product that in terms of helping for people that are waiting in line for trade shows and things like that. So as he's prospecting people, he can have different messages that go out. And let's say he wants to test one that he's not sure, or a sequence that he's not sure is going to respond. And then he has another sequence that he has an idea that how people might respond. He can actually test this group and this group, and then make a determination of which one to flip to for everyone when he's ready. So and he can look at that and do a little bit of analysis around that.
Right. And you can usually integrate almost every touch point that you have into something that HubSpot can connect to. So if you have forms on your contact page of your website, we recommend swapping in the HubSpot version of that same form. You can customize the fields and everything. And the reason is that once they're submitted, they go not only to you in an email alert, but they'll go into your HubSpot system where that is either added to that contacts record if they were already a prospect, or it will create a new prospect or contact out of them that then you can kind of work into, a lead if that's the best path for them. So there's the chat that way, that path to become a contact. There's the forms you can put on your website. They can become a contact. They can simply email you, or you can have an email exchange. If you've got the HubSpot integrator in Outlook or Gmail, they become a contact that way. Help tickets. So the more that you can integrate, the more easier life will be as far as not having to do duplicate data entry.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's important once you begin to automate those steps. And then of course, true visibility into however you're managing your marketing is critical as well. So some of you might be generating leads from trade shows, some from webinars, some from pay-per-click campaigns, some depending on however you're bringing leads in the door. So even if you're not that sophisticated yet, when you set up your contact management piece, the very first step, we want to make sure that you have we want to make sure that you have a source tracking set up. So without getting too in the weeds here or nitty gritty about this, hopefully some of you are doing what's called tracking pixels right now. That tells you that when you're looking at your website or your landing pages, how did people get there? So if you don't know what that's about, you can just, I think we have some webcasts that talk about that in the Social Jack platform, or if you want to contact us. But ideally for 2020, I think the key word is make sure you track where you're generating business. Because if you're not tracking that, if you're speaking at events, if you're, we did a lot of events last year, but we didn't monetize all the events. So we have a huge shift that took place for us in how we're tracking each event. We're making sure that it monetizes. We're making sure that leads convert out of there. We're making sure that we know on this very webinar, we actually know each and every person in our HubSpot CRM that registered for this webinar. You're in our CRM. And so we know who's attending, who's not attending, who's registered, who didn't attend. But that's all automatic on the back end. But then what we want to do is look and see, well, what effect does that have on sales? What's the actual conversion factor? So Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
Right. So the very basics, as far as tracking and conversion and things go, is HubSpot comes with a free tracking pixel that you install on your website right next to Google Analytics, and it helps understand who's coming to the site. Are they recognized? Are they already a contact? What are they doing on your site? And it can track a wealth of other things too. So if you have certain deliverables that you have as documents staged in HubSpot not only can track whether or not the person clicked to open maybe that PDF guide that you sent them, how long they viewed it, because it uses their little web page to be the viewer. Just really powerful tracking, so that you can kind of measure what your prospects are doing, what it takes to convert them, and who's on your site.
Yeah, awesome.
All these, and also all these awesome like visuals you're looking at, back in the Salesforce days, and probably still today to a degree, this would be like a $bazillion add-on to have these kinds of like customizable graphs and reporting and widgets on your dashboard. This all comes free built in.
Right.
And you can drag the widgets around if you don't want to see a certain one up top or left or right, so they're resizable. You can drag them around. It's just really a great system.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, I feel like giving away a Starbucks gift card. I want to know who wants to win the first Starbucks gift card of the year. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody say they want to win something yet, but I just like to play a little bit, you know? So, so in this, before we move on to this, I have a screen coming up that I want you to pay attention to. We're going to talk about integrations, and I want you to guess how many integrations that HubSpot has right now when I display this screen. Ready? Go.
That's a lot.
Guess. I want to see what the guess is. Whoever guess.
Can I
Look
guess?
at Joe. Joe's first. He's 114. We have a 225, a 375. Good. Look at this. 365. Joe, you can guess. Joe's Googling. I can hear it.
No, I'm trying to type in here. Okay, I'll just tell you. I think it's 360. I'm just guessing.
It's 322 as far as I
Okay.
could count. But here's what I'm going to do. So, Jackson, pay attention. Let's see who's the first. I think the first is the boldest. That's Joe, not you, Joe. Sorry, it's Barsness was first. And let's see who came closest to at least the most recent count that we have. Yeah, cup of Joe for Joe. How's that? I would have to say, and then we'll finish up with a couple of things and then take some questions. Let's see. Okay. And then Todd Presnick. So Todd Presnick. Okay, so with that being said, Jackson, hopefully you got those two names. And then we'll make sure you get a Starbucks gift card. But really the winning factor here is the fact that I don't know if you can see something that you're using that you need to talk to that makes sense. And you can see they categorize it in email, video, calling, sales, lead generation. And Adam, I think you said it when you were checking in on yours. You said something about said something about your CRM and the integrations and the talking to other pieces of software. So I think that what's super important is to make sure that you look at what you're using and what you really rely on, and make sure that whatever CRM you pick connects to that if you have critical apps. And that's what we did. We looked at other critical apps. And there's always Zapier. If you don't know what that is, it allows things to talk to one another and, things like that. So we use We use an email marketing system, Active Campaign. If you ever want to talk to us about that, it's really cool. So now all of a sudden, you can make that happen. And Joe asked about, the winner, Joe, asked about, is there an easy way to get LinkedIn connections into HubSpot without, let's see, copy and paste? So Joe, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
There's an approved vendor with, it's one of these that HubSpot partnered with, but you have to have the expensive team version of LinkedIn Sales Navigator and pay for the connector app, which would probably be over $150 a month. Yeah. So there's that way to do it. And That's not the way we prefer. We use a tool called Seamless that helps you collect your ideal prospects from LinkedIn, and then from Seamless, you can just have them automatically go into your HubSpot. So that's one way to do it there.
Yeah, there's a couple of different options on there. Renee always asks my favorite question, so I'm going to let Joe answer this. And then we're going to get to the 20 by 20 application of how to generate actual leads or convert to sales pipeline. What's the capacity in the free program regarding contacts? Renee's asking.
It's a really great question. I've asked 3 different people at HubSpot, and all of them said that they don't think that there's a maximum. The highest we've tested it at is 900,000.
So is
and
that
it's
enough? Is that enough,
still,
Renee?
yeah. So I believe you can get into the millions if you wanted to, and that is on the free version, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, so Adam's saying he said his CRM is more marketing oriented as well as for forecasting, not necessarily looking at it, but prospective field sales and pipeline acceleration. Yeah, so we do a lot of training, Adam, in social selling, which is the whole system that we talk about. In terms of, really the 20 by 20, like I said, is doing some very specific movements, 20 minutes a day. And we use LinkedIn here as the example, but we have very specific movements that might take a couple of minutes, might take 5 minutes, might take 10 minutes. But the fact is, as long as you have your CRM cooking and as long as you have things moving, and when you get to that point, when the real goal is to have a conversation with somebody, and that's your first point of contact, and you want to have that person in there, like Joe said, there's a couple of different ways that we look at tracking and making that all happen. So again, if you want to see that 20 by 20 system, you can go to socialjack.com. You can click on the member login, and without logging in, you can actually have access to a couple of overviews of this in more detail, and I can show you that in a minute. And then at the end of the day, what's super important is to make sure that you set the hook to actually convert. So, whether it's having these LinkedIn messages, we do a lot of in-mail messaging. I'm sure you're getting some of mine right now. We do some of that in an automated way. We do that in a campaign-driven way. And we use that for either driving you to other webinars or live events that we're doing, depending on the target. And then we tie that into HubSpot so that we can track. Yeah, thanks, Adam. Adam's like, I love your weekly emails. You don't know how much I appreciate that, so I'm smiling back at you. So in that, we really want to make sure that we're just tracking a little better. And so what a better way it is to hook and track things together. So no matter how you're doing it or what you're doing or whatever makes sense, let's make sure we're doing that. So I'm curious. So for 2020, I'm going to launch another poll here, and then I'm going to do a couple of summary things, and I'm going to take some of these questions. So, what's most important for you for 2020? Is it contact management, sales tracking? And I made it so you could click on multiple things because I know some of us just love a lot of things. Support calls, and then I didn't even mention project tracking, Joe, because I know there's project tracking in there too. So marketing automation, sales tracking, it looks like it's pretty even across the board. So I'll let everybody, okay, good. So it looks like a lot of marketing automation is high, 78%. So here's where everybody is at. I'm going to share this just so you can see the company you're in. So contact management, seems like people have that somewhat handled, but the most important thing is automation. So with that being said, this is what we covered. Now, let me give you, Jackson is going to send out a link to everybody for this free version of HubSpot, which I think is pretty cool. If you have questions on it, make sure you talk to us. But if you go to socialjack.com/HubSpot, www.socialjack.com/HubSpot, Jackson is actually sending you that link right now. Right, Jackson? I hope he is. Oh, there he is. Okay, good. Look at that. He's on the ball. Yes. So socialjack.com/HubSpot. You click on that, you'll get to this link. Now, when we think about, like I was saying, just the regular version of Social Jack, let me just show you this so you can get some, this is all about some free stuff today. So if we look at Social Jack and we're going here, and let's just say that you don't have a member login yet, right? There's Joe saying hello to me. You don't have a member login, but you want to get to some things. So you saw events there. You can always get to our next events or what's going on. You can also subscribe to events. I guess I should make that. So some of you have new emails and you want to subscribe, you can press that subscribe button. But if you go to member login and you don't feel like logging in right away, there is still a lot of good content. You can hear our interviews, you can hear our webinars like this are posted there. But the most important thing is to use the search up here and look for what you want. And then if you can't find it, of course, you need to create a login and there's a free trial for some of that. But the goal here is we want to provide as many resources to you as possible. And then once you get under the hood, you can attend some of the 20 by 20 programs and things like that that make sense. Now, as part of this, some of you want our digital thought leadership program. You can ask us about that. In our 90-day program, we can take you from soup to nuts to really be that thought leader. It's something that you'll see a lot more of this year. We rolled it out last year and it seemed to be quite popular. So whoever you are out there that wants to generate more thought leadership and influence, we have that program for you. And last but not least, we have salesjack.net. So if you wanted to take the 20 by 20 program and you only wanted to spend $97, you just go to salesjack.net and there you go. So there you go. And there you have it. And, we always want to welcome, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't do this on my own. I need some help. How do I make this happen? So I just want you to know that we have addressed this. So even though HubSpot is free, if you do need some help, we have these CRM Starter Kits. We can coach you to success.
Importing contacts.
Yeah, importing contacts. There's things that stop people. So now all of a sudden, you're at this point where you're just like, oh my gosh, I just need a couple of hours of time. I need an expert to get me over the hump. We have all kinds of variety of things. So real quick, just so we don't waste anybody's time, just want to know, if any of this interests you for a conversation, because I don't want to call every single person, but I will talk to you, or Joe will talk to you through some things as you're planning for this year. No sales pitch. We just want to know, are you interested? Because how we do this, how we function, how we work, what makes sense for you. So it looks like a lot of people are interested in possibly the starter kit. And this is the thing, we don't want you to be sitting here in March with the free version of HubSpot and no contacts and no tracking. Literally within a couple of days, you can get set up, you can get moving, and you can get that off your back that you've been postponing and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. So it looks like about almost 50% of you want to talk to us either about the starter kit, some coaching programs, some other training programs, or even the self-paced salesjack.net. Now on the salesjack.net, if you just go to salesjack.net and you just go there, you could get that without talking to us. But if you have questions, if you need some help, please, please, please do not hesitate to talk to us. If I know this week is pretty crazy for me, but I'll make all these callbacks with Joe next week. And again, we appreciate you. So I'm going to get this off the screen. Go ahead, Joe.
Some feature stuff.
Yeah.
So I touched on this earlier. If you're paying for a chatbot right now, HubSpot's chatbot is free. If you're paying for Zendesk right now or any kind of ticketing system, HubSpot's ticketing system is integrated and free.
How about that?
If you're paying for Calendly right now or one of these booking things, there's an exactly identical, really powerful booking functionality that ties into your Outlook or 365 or G Suite, and that's included in HubSpot free as well.
Yeah, and Julie, when you say how much is the monthly fee, Joe just said it's free, so there's no monthly fee. So I'm not sure what the monthly fee would be for. She said, "Oh."
We got some other questions here. So,
Has this functionality? Let's see. Is functionality? I don't know. I haven't noticed any. That might be something that could easily be looked at too. She said they had HubSpot a couple years ago, and she had a challenge because it tracks email opens on the recipient's end, and it slowed things down. I haven't noticed that slowdown on our site.
I haven't noticed that at all.
Yeah,
So
neither have I
some
personally.
add-ons for Outlook are run really heavy. This one is essentially just adding a BCC behind the scenes, which is a special long email that adds all emails sent and received that include that to the CRM. So it's a pretty simple process, but powerful since it ties everything together behind the scenes.
Yeah, got it. And Renee's using G Suite. I'm guessing G Suite, but Gmail. And there, actually, that's I would think of anything that would be super fast compared to Outlook. We use Outlook, so
Yep.
you can imagine how heavy Outlook is because Windows is heavy. So if we're not seeing any slowdown, I'd say that be confident. But you could download the free version and just connect it up to your G Suite and see how that works. And Julie was saying with the paid version, Joe, do
All
you have,
right.
yeah, off the top of your head?
There's a bunch of different packages, and that's because HubSpot has different products. Really, you could be on free HubSpot CRM and get the Sales Starter, which is their first tier of paid marketing automation. So they have like their marketing product and their CRM product. You can have free both. You can have paid one, free the other, or paid both. And there's 2 or 3 different paid levels within each one, depending on how much you need. And like most CRMs, it is a per seat kind of thing. So it does get pretty expensive if you want it to automate your whole life and your business. But we've been just amazed and excited about how many free features are involved and all are included in all of their different offerings, which with pretty much every other competitor is a paid feature.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I want to mention, I mentioned Active Campaign. I think there was a question about this. So the reason we use another email marketing system, we actually have several, but that is our opt-in list. So we have 77,000 opt-in emails or somewhere around there. The biggest thing is that there is different marketing and sequences that happen that we already have set up, and we have the two systems talking to one another. So if you subscribe just now on socialjack.com, you go to events, you hit the subscribe button, then all of a sudden you will automatically be put into both systems. So we put you into a certain segment of people that are interested in events. You go into that bucket, and then we have you go into the CRM bucket as well. So you can set up that way, or to Joe's point, you can do marketing automation. But again, we didn't want to pay for two systems, and we like the functionality and the way that the sequences on the email work in Active Campaign. But with that being said, that's why you want to look at what's important to you, what do you currently use, how do things have to talk together, and take it to that level. And then Renee asked, is it different from Intercom? And I'm not familiar.
Yeah, Intercom is very popular chat bot. And it's the same thing, but to get all the features that you probably enjoy by having Intercom's paid product, you would most likely have to upgrade to Sales Starter in HubSpot to get all those features. Now for us, we just use it like answering live questions and having people submit a very basic question to become a lead if we're not able to field that live question from the website through the chatbot in HubSpot. So for us, the free version works fine for the chatbot, but depends on what features you need.
Right. All right, I think that's all. Any other questions? Was this helpful for 2020 for everybody jumpstarting out of the gate, getting organized with CRM? Even if you just have a CRM, hopefully you got some ideas just on us talking about organization or maybe workflow or maybe taking things to the next level. Again, HubSpot, might be good for you. You might be some other options out there. We work with a lot of CRMs. but we want you to be successful. And so with that, that's why we have Social Jack. And then if you need those services, that's why we have Forward Progress. Renee, thank you. I'm getting all these thank yous. Julie, good to see you as always. Good to see Eileen on there and all of our friends and new friends. Welcome, new friends, Adam and everybody. So we will see you on the next webcast coming up. We have one, I think, we have the one coming up, I know, on LinkedIn Navigator, and then we have Gaggle Amp, which we cannot wait for. That's employee advocacy for as little as $10 per user per month. So I think that's a good one for you to attend. So with that being said, we will, let's see. Yes, same time, same channel. No, watch your inbox. We have moved some things around to help accommodate other folks. So we are not weekly broadcasting yet, but I think that starts in February. So watch your channels, watch your inbox. So thanks for asking that on the broadcast. So with that being said, thank you, everybody. And we will see you soon online. And don't forget to follow us at Forward Progress, Social Jack, and then the Dean Delisle channels are always welcoming you as well. Thank you from Joe and myself and the Social Jack team, and we will see you online. Take care.